Okay, thank you everyone for joining us. Today we're having Mr. Jesse, Mr. Luther Jesse, and he's a Ghanaian, like I'm also a Ghanaian too. So it's a great privilege to have him here today. But sorry about the whole stuff with the timing. And he'll be speaking on winning with harvest, and we're going to pass the floor to him right now, and we will begin. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Jesse.
Thank you very much, Miracle. I think I can take it on from here. Apologies for the timing as well. I had big challenges, but then glad, gladly I'm here. So tonight we want to look at winning with others, and the distinct leadership is looking at people-oriented leadership 2.0. And so we want to look at what oriented leadership is from the perspective of winning with other people. All right. So with this, we are going to look at why leadership, and then we'll look at the leadership perspective. Then we'll move on to looking at becoming valuable, and then finally we'll look at leaders focus on others. All right. So why is leadership important? Probably you wondered. I mean, why do we have to have leaders? Why do we have to have followers? Why is leadership important? Right. One of the things I would want to clarify is that leadership is not just about leading people. And that's one of the first misconceptions about leadership. And when people are looking forward to becoming leaders, all they think about is, okay, I'm going to be in the driving seat, I'm going to lead people, I'm going to move everybody around. No. Leadership is actually taking the lead in a field where everybody now begins to reference you. So then leadership isn't about okay just being put in a position and then people just following you because you are the one in position, you are the boss. What you say, what people do. Other than that, you are only a boss, you are not a leader. So there's a difference between being a leader and being a boss. Now, when you're a boss, people are usually following you because they lose something at stake. It will probably be a salary, it could probably be some level of shame coming to them. But then, as a leader, people now voluntarily follow you because they trust you and you have some level of influence on them. So, leadership is not just about occupying a position, it's about first making outstanding contributions. And one of the things you notice that when you begin to start making some level of contribution, so you begin to make some level of good, to begin to start taking the lead in a specific field, people now begin to come to you and begin to ask you questions. Now they begin to now perceive you as the lead in the field or as the leader in the field. So it's not just about holding a title. There are many people holding titles that are not leaders themselves, that other people are leading. So you've heard a popular cliche that people will say, oh, it's not the president who is leading the country. There are certain people influencing and making decisions for the country. So the president is just the figurehead there, but there are people making the decisions there. So it means that he's only occupying a position, but he's not the one making the outstanding contribution. So he's only just like a puppet. So leadership is not just taking a seat. People just feel comfortable. I've arrived. No, leadership is about accomplishing something. It's about doing. Leadership is not. A lot of people like titles. We like, and I know Nigerians like a lot of titles. Some Ghanaians are also like that. They like big titles. You meet someone else like, okay, now he's a doctor. So he has to write it so that when people see it, they know that yes, the doctor is here. No, leadership is not just taking a seat. The doctor has come now. Doctor has to sit somewhere. When I was doing my master's program, I had this colleague of mine who always wanted to show that, oh, he's a master student. So when he goes anywhere, he wants it to be known that he's a master student. And so he has to be treated with some level of favoritism. But it doesn't work that way. It's about doing something. It's about doing something. So, and leadership is not just about talking about, oh, we are doing this. No, it's about actually doing something. So leadership is an action word, or a leader is someone who takes action. It's not someone who just talks. So there are many people who are talkers. We hear from them, they say so many things, but we don't see any action from them. And if you are someone like that, sooner or later you are going to lose the influence that you have. The next thing about leadership that's interesting is that it's not just about teaching principles. So there are many people that they are smart, they can say a lot of things, but at the end they're unable to show it. See, people want to see the action. They want you to show proof. Prove what you are saying. Like, prove it with your life. Other than that, you are just a mere reflection of just words. And I read a saying that says that your actions are so loud that I cannot hear you. Your actions are so loud that I cannot hear you. What that implies is that what you are doing is so loud that I'm watching you to follow in the lead. So your followers actually learn more, or more, people learn more by observation. Sorry about that. People learn more by following or by watching rather than just by listening. So your followers are actually going to look at what you do and they expect you to teach what you do. So even in the scriptures, the Bible said that these are the things Jesus began to do and to teach. So Jesus started doing before he started to teach. So leadership first has to do about doing before you come to teaching. And leadership is not just about having responsibilities. Oh, these are a list of responsibilities that you're in charge of. It's actually taking responsibility when the time comes. So when we are in a group and we find ourselves somewhere and something happens, immediately everybody begins to look at the person who is supposed to be the leader there. The person who is supposed to be the leader there. So the leader takes the lead. And even if it's not clearly stated that, oh, this person is the one leading us, maybe friends, we go somewhere and something pops up, you notice that no, it's one person that takes the responsibility of what's going to happen or what's happening on ground. So that person is the leader. So leadership is not just about having positions. So there are some of us, we find ourselves, you say, oh, as for me, I'm not a leader. No. The fact that you don't have a title on your name or you don't have a position with some assigned responsibilities doesn't mean you are not a leader. There's a quote here about leadership, and John C. Maxwell says that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Now, and that's the most important factor about leadership. Leadership has to do with you influencing others to follow you. But it doesn't mean going to talk up to people. Remember, leadership is about doing, it's about taking the lead. And once you take the lead, you begin to influence a particular sphere. You begin to influence people to now begin to follow in your lead. That is when you become the leader. So, leadership perspective. Leadership is just not, like I say, it's not just people to reach heights. And another saying that says that the person who thinks he's leading but has nobody following him is merely taking a walk. Are leading in specific fields. But unfortunately, they have big titles, but there's no one following them. And so they are merely taking a walk. That's what this great man, there are people other people.
Okay, guys, we're so sorry about the mix-up. I think Mr. Jesse has an issue with his network. we're going to put out for Ian to join us again. We're so sorry. Okay, sir.
Okay, apologies.
No, no problem. We're so sorry about that, guys. We're so sorry. Okay,
No
just
problem.
to
No
make sure
problem.
everything is
Yes,
back. Okay, perfect.
yes. So, leadership has to do with influencing people. And the way to influencing people has to do with inspiring them. And what
Mm,
inspires people has to do with primarily your passion. And it's very, very critical because there are many people who find themselves in leadership position who try to manipulate people. And they try to manipulate people in different forms. They try to use wield their power over them. So they try to force people to do things they don't want to do. And because they hold some bit of stake to them. So it could be in various forms of manipulation. It could be using money. It could be using punishment. It could be using some bit of shame. And there are many people who call themselves leaders who are basically manipulators. And once that element of manipulation is no more there, you notice that the people do not follow them because they do not share the vision that they have to. So, as a leader, your duty is not to get people to saying that we are doing this. If you don't do this, I'm going to punish you. You see, people need to be able to share in your vision to be able to follow you. And I'm going to share this with footballers. Now, if you notice that when footballers or when a football team players fall out of favor with a particular coach, they begin to lose a lot of games continuously. And one of the things people will say is that the coach has lost the dressing room. And many a times, some of these coaches are very disciplinarian coaches, and they are people that try to enforce their standards on the team. But look at a new coach who comes in and then he begins to share a new vision. Sometimes in the first few games, you might not see the results. Some they might lose a few, but you notice that with time, the players begin to pick up some level of confidence, and they begin to share in the playing style of the coach, and they begin to follow the vision of the coach and play to a style. It's because they've bought into the vision. The coach has been able to influence them to play in a certain style. So you notice there are some players that will say, "Oh, previously, this is not the way I prefer to play football. This is not the position I prefer to play." But they are willing to play that position because of the particular coach coaching them. And one example I'll give is Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa was previously coached by a number of coaches. But if you look at how they play their games, they now play a high pressing game, which is very demanding on the entire team. But you notice that even during their preseason, they began to see some bit of results. They began to see some results, and even their first game with Newcastle, they were beaten and whooping, I think 5-1 or 5-2 or so. But subsequently, they stuck to their style and they are reaping the results. Now they are fit on the Premier League, and Newcastle is way down. They stuck to the style, and they were able to see that no, this would give us the results. There are sometimes that it might fail, but the playing style will give us the results because the coach has been able to influence them to play that way. And so influence is very important. But there are other coaches in the league, some I cannot talk about, who we can see that are trying to use the means of force and manipulation. And the players are struggling to share in his vision and is leading to losing a lot of games. And so leadership is very, very critical factor in how we can win with other people. Now, one of the things we need to remember is that one is too small a number to achieve greatness. You can go through history There's no one particular person who has been able to achieve it all by being alone. And every single person requires a team. And being in a team means that you are being with people. And once you are with people, it means there's some bit of leadership there. And if there's leadership, then you need to be able to inspire everybody to follow a particular drive, a particular vision to be able to achieve a game. So now we call out standard performance players like Lionel Messi, like yesterday football game like Jude Bellingham. And I think I watched a bit of the Real Madrid game. And one of the things that showed was in the first half, he was basically lost in the game. But in the second half, the coach made substitutions and brought Modric and Kamavinga. I'm sorry for those who don't follow football, just an illustration. Now, these two players began to influence the game in a particular way. And then it helped Jude score 2 goals at the end of the game. Now, everybody calls him the standout player. He was the man of the match. But this wouldn't have been possible without the other people also playing a role in a team. And so leadership has to do with working with people. And there's no one person in the world who has been able to achieve anything significant worth talking about by being alone. And so if you think that, okay, you don't need people, you need to rethink it again. And once you know you need people, it means leadership must be a critical factor in place. Now, what exactly is leadership? We understand that leadership is influence. Looking at it in its comprehensive definition, I have this definition of leadership, says that leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration. Now, you see influence and see inspiration. Inspiration is what drives influence. Inspiration is what drives influence. But your inspiration must be motivated by a certain passion. Passion is a fuel that drives every man. If you've seen any place without passion, you know that there's the influence is literally absent. Let me give you 2 examples. Imagine you find yourself in a bank and then a new quota is set that at the end of this year, we need to be able to make in, let's say, 200 million naira as for our branch. And then one manager goes, he speaks to his team and says that, look, guys, we have to make 200 million naira. That's the target the headquarters is setting for us. Even last year, we had 150,000 naira, 150 million naira, and we couldn't meet it. How can we meet the target of 200 million naira now? By virtue of what the leader has done, he has killed the morale of the team. And do you think they'll be able to achieve that by the end of the year? Definitely not, because they won't even try. But now you find another leader somewhere, and he says that, guys, last year we had tough challenges. We couldn't make 150 million naira. But this year we have a much greater target, 200 million naira. We want to learn from the mistakes of our previous year and we want to act on it. Therefore, I'm confident we can do this and we can get. How do you think the staff will actually react towards this? Everybody begins to now believe and see that no, this thing is possible. Even though last year they couldn't make a much lesser target, the new year they would give it a try. And it's worth it because now the leader has some level of inspiration for the team and he inspires them based on his passion, which is generated on a vision he sees. So now he sees that no, it is possible, and he's convinced that it is possible, and he believes it. And because of this, it makes it happen. Now, if you find yourself or find any leader who finds himself in a position where he has lost a sense of purpose, he's not convinced things can change, he doesn't have the right vision, he has lost his passion, know that there's no leadership present. So now you find leaders in certain countries who don't even believe that things can change. They don't believe it. So they don't have that sense of purpose. They are not convinced. Now, when you speak to someone who is convinced that something can change, you might hold on to that promise and say, no, I believe this person. Have you ever met anybody who says that no, Nigeria will rise again? Nigeria must work. You know that no, that person has some level of conviction, and you'll be willing to work with that person to help Nigeria work. But you find someone who thinks that Charlie, the way things are going, the country cast, the country cast. You don't want to work with such a person because you know that nothing good will come out of it. But now you find somebody that is convinced. He sees the challenges ahead of him, and he's like, no, we need to do this. Let's get this done. Everybody begins to believe. And that is what leadership is. Now, I want to give a story of David and Goliath in the Bible. Now, the scripture said that the people of Israel were all gripped with fear. But David had a sense of purpose and said, no, it is my responsibility to be at the battlefield. I can't be sitting in the house when my brethren are fighting at the front. And he was convinced that that man standing there, God can give him to me. And he went to tell the king, Charlie, I'll go and stand and then I'll fight this man. And Goliath made an offer. And he says that, Charlie, we are not going to fight everybody 1-1. You, just me and you. If I defeat you, all your people will be as slaves. If you defeat me, all your people will be. And David was so convinced. And because he was so convinced, the king was willing to risk David going to stand to face a Goliath, a man of war with a lot of experience, because he was able to influence the king with his conviction. I'm sure he influenced everybody there. And everybody was like, hey, Charlie, let's try this guy. He had a certain vision and he could see something. See, the conviction bet a certain vision for him. And he could see what other people were not able to see, that God was able to give Goliath onto his hands. And that is how a leader moves. A leader has purpose. And that purpose drives some level of conviction, which makes him see what other people can't see. So he begins to look at challenges. He begins to look at the same problems other people are seeing. And he begins to see opportunities instead of problems. He begins to see that, these Philistines have been disturbing us for long. Let me just take this guy down and everybody is ours. That is how he sees things. That is how a leader sees things. So a leader sees through the problems and begins to see opportunities out of the problems. Where other people only see roadblocks, the leader sees a new light at the end of the vision. So it said about Thomas Edison that after failing about 9,999 times, someone said that, Charlie, you've been failing the whole time. He said, no, he only found 9,999 times that this doesn't work. And that is how a leader sees. So a leader is not just about seeking followers. Everybody come and follow me. Everybody come and follow me. You notice that when a leader has some level of influence, he's not just calling people to follow him. People are willing to leave whatever they are doing to follow him because they have seen some level of conviction. And it's same with a romantic relationship between a man and a woman. Have you seen a man who has realized his dreams? There was a dream, and there are probably other rich men trying to chase the lady, and they are promising that, see, what you want in the future, have it now. And the young man is telling the lady that, Charlie, I know I don't have the resources now, but this is where I want to go. These are the things I want to do. This is the dream I share. You notice that the lady is moved by the young man's conviction. She's able to see the future with him, and she's willing to follow him because she's convinced by his purpose. And that is true. So purpose separates us from everyone else. And you notice that when you see someone who has purpose, you see someone who has conviction, you are willing to give that person a listening ear. Now, one of the first things to note is that leadership starts with you. The reason is because you cannot give what you don't have. I mean, have you seen anyone trying to promise what he doesn't have? You can't give what you don't have. So leadership first starts with you. And to be able to win with others, you need to first take the first step of getting yourself in a position where now when other people come on board, you'll be able to help them or you'll be able to work with them together. And your value determines your relevance and your influence. To be valuable tomorrow, you need to grow today. If you don't grow today, you would lose your relevance tomorrow. And there are so many people who are past glories today. Yesterday they were relevant, but today nobody wants to listen to them. Nobody wants to follow them because they've lost their value. And as a leader, you are always leading people. And so you always must know more than the people following you. You must know more than what other people following you have. Because as a leader, your ability or your leadership cap will determine how successful any pack you lead becomes. And so you hear that a group of lions who are being led by a sheep will be defeated by a group of sheep who are being led by a lion. because how well a people can do is directly attributed to the leaders you see there. And so when you look at a group of people and you look at what is domiciled within them, you can easily tell that no, it's all down to leadership. And when you notice that when a right leader comes in place, he's able to influence the same people, and they're able to do the things they previously were unable to do. Let me share another example with football. One of the things we've noticed about football teams is that when you find a coach who has some group of players and they're consistently losing matches, their confidence is gone. In fact, they're unable to play games to any identity. And the coach is sacked and a new coach is brought in. That coach brings some level of influence or some level of leadership and some level of belief into the team. And so you notice that subsequently the team begins to pick up and begins to win games. They begin to do things they previously didn't believe. It's because the leader has been able to inspire everybody going into the next level. And that is what we require wherever we find ourselves, in our schools, in out of school, in work, wherever we find ourselves. You will notice you find yourself in a group of people who don't believe anything. That means there's that lack of leadership. When you find a real leader in a country, you notice that everybody begins to start giving themselves, begin to start picking up resources, begin to start driving themselves because they know that yes, it is possible. They can do more. And so leadership begins with you. People do what they see. And so you need to start doing what you want people to do. If you want to win with other people, you don't just start by giving them instructions. You don't tell them one and you do two. You need to start doing to get what you want to do, start aligning with what you want to do. And you need to be very intentional about it. Now, the only way to keep doing what you are doing or to keep staying in what you are doing is when you become intentional about it. And many people, or many of us, are not intentional with what you do or what we are doing. Now, are you intentional with your studies? Are you intentional with your personal growth? Are you intentional with learning? Are you intentional with what you are doing? Now, you want to be a political leader in future. What are you doing today that's ensuring that you are going to be the right kind of leader in future? You want to be a husband or you want to be a father, which means you are going to be a leader in your household. What are you doing today to ensure that you are going to be the leader everyone looks up to? As of now, you know nothing about fatherhood. You know nothing about anything about the political space. You want to be a CEO. You know nothing about running a company. And it's very true. As a leader, everybody begins to look at you. I remember in many circumstances when a company has downsides, something pops up, and now we are all thinking, I'm like, actually, guys, I'm here with all of you, but everybody is looking at me. What are you going to do in a situation like this? Because they want that level of inspiration. And when that inspiration comes, you notice it begins to flow downwards to everybody, and everybody begins to align. Everybody begins to have that sense of belief. I remember beginning when things were tough, and everybody was like, Charlie, are we supposed to start looking for an alternative? But then when that level of inspiration came, now everybody begins to see through the problems. Everybody begins to see through the opportunities on the ground, and they're like, no, like I really want to do this. You could see it even in the way they work on a daily basis. Right. You need to be consistent because you only be able to attract who you are and not who you want. And many of us want the best people in the society, wants them, even in football teams. How many, one of the things you notice about players choosing particular teams is that they say that no, there's this coach they want to play under because the coach knows how to grow talent. So you hear players saying that they want to play under Jurgen Klopp, they want to play under Pep Guardiola because these coaches know how to let them get to their next level. They help them develop. And so they're able to attract who they are because they are people who are constantly learning. They are people who are constantly evolving. But imagine someone who just sits down, is okay with the status quo. You'll not be able to attract people who are ambitious, who want to get to the next level. Every day, oh, we need to be content with who we are. We are here. This is what we are. People always rebel because they want more where they find themselves. And so the next level of leadership is where we inspire or where we teach others. And it first begins with us knowing. And so we are only able to teach what we know, but we can reproduce who we are. We are only able to teach what we know, but we are able to reproduce who we are. So once you're unable to see certain levels of results where you find yourself, know that it's probably because it's not been seen first in your life. So your priority is to make sure that you have it first evident in your life, then you begin to now reproduce it amongst your team. El Nightingale has two unique quotes that I want you to pay attention very well. He says that if a person will spend 1 hour a day on the same subject for 5 years, that person will be an expert on that subject. So he says, take any subject in the world, and every day for just 1 hour, study it, practice it. Every day for just 1 hour. Every day for just 1 hour. Every day for just 1 hour. And these are things you see in the life of athletes. So you find an athlete like Usain Bolt. For 4 years, he spent his whole life training just to run at one Olympic event. Now, it's not just about one Olympic event that determined how well he would do. It's about how well he invested the previous 4 years. And so you would have opportunities in the future, but how well you do is in how well you spend these times preparing. So take any subject at all, anything you want to excel in. If it's on leadership, if it's on working with people, whatever it is, just spend 1 hour. The first year, you might not see much. The second year, the people around you start seeing something different. You start seeing some level of touch. The third year, you begin to move to another level. Then now some level of respect is there. They begin to accord you. By the fourth year, you begin to get some level of recognition. By the fifth year, everybody recognizes you as an expert in that space. To stay consistent. Just 1 hour. How long is 1 hour? We spend our 1 hour watching movies, playing games, watching football games, doing a lot of things. Yeah. But if you're able to convert that, you can do it. Now he has this quote again. It says that don't let the fear of the time it will take to accomplish something stand in the way of you doing it. Because the time will pass away anyway. So you might as well put that passing time to the best possible use. So you find someone who says that, I have to go to the university and spend 4 years. 4 years is long to get a degree. But that same 4 years will still come. Do you have the degree or not? I have to spend all my time learning these courses, doing these online programs, doing this. Yes, the time will still pass. Look at it, 2025, 2026. 2026 will still come. But the proof that you would actually have done something is when you decide to take that step today. So it's about taking the step today. So to be valuable to someone tomorrow, learn something new today. The fourth one, leaders focus on others. Benjamin Franklin says that no one is useless in this world who lightens the burden of someone else. And when you have the full picture of leadership, you know that leadership is about service. Leadership is about lightening the burdens of other people. It's about extending a hand. Say that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And that is the truth of what leadership is about. Zig Ziglar says that if you help people get what they want, you will receive everything you need in life. Many times when we set out as leaders, the first thing we begin to do is we begin to start giving people instructions. We need to tell people what to do. And no, the first thing about leadership is to be able to win the hearts of the people. And until you win the heart, until you be able to extend a heart, you don't ask for a hand. And the first way to winning the heart is first to go and then find out what are the needs of the people, because everyone has needs. Miracle, you have needs. If someone comes and now start putting what he wants for you to do, like, this person doesn't care about me. But if this person listens to you, he's able to understand what you go through. He has some level of empathy to you. He's able to connect to you. He's able to value you. How well do you think you are going to work under that person? Able to give your best because you know that this person cares about what you go through. And there are things that happen all around us. And people are humans. We go through different things all the time. And the last time I was speaking with my staff and I was telling them that we need to be able to connect with each other. There's a staff who might come to work and the previous day his boyfriend or her boyfriend has given her a booking out. And she cannot concentrate. And it's not my duty to come shouting on her, Charlie, what are you doing? Make sure you get the work done. What is this? What at all is this? No. I need to be able to understand why is the person not able to deliver as the person should. So the first thing we try to do in our company is try to listen. What is preventing you from getting or from meeting the targets you're supposed to meet? So you impress people with your knowledge. There are people that they are smart, they are good, and everybody will be like, Charlie, my boss is really good. He knows everything, right? You're able to impress your people. But to be able to make an impact on people, it's about your compassion. And take your mind back to all the teachers who taught you in previous years in school. You notice that some of them they knew so much and they were able to talk so much. But I noticed that the teachers you were able to connect well with were the people that were able to help you amidst the challenges you went through. So you notice probably some of you were very, very brilliant students, so you didn't have issues. But just look back at the students that were not too good, or if you find yourself there and you find a teacher who calls you and encourages you, he listens to your situation and he helps you out. You notice that that person makes a greater impact in your life than the person who knew so much and taught you so much. So it's about connecting with others. And the first step is about being a listener. The second is about believing in other people. One of the things about believing in others is that you need to express your belief in them. And unfortunately, many leaders act as man managers. They try to manage people. They're unable to give people the room to work. They're unable to allow them. Sometimes you need to give people the room to do things. They would make mistakes. And sometimes you'll call back. But I need to expressly express to them that, Charlie, it wasn't good today, but I know what you carry. I believe in you. And you notice that when you express belief in people, it encourages them to be able to express what you have actually seen in them. They begin to now start working. They begin to now see what you have seen in them. And as leaders, you need to be able to see the gold in others. You need to be able to see the gold in the dust. You need to be able to see that gold in other people and bring it out. Some people come as dust, but I need to be able to look beyond that dust and see that, no, there's an unrefined gold here and bring it out. And the last thing is about service. Before you ask for a hat, lend a hand. Now, I read this story about Napoleon Bonaparte. And Napoleon Bonaparte was a French military general. It's very, very popular because there's an idiomatic expression that says that every Napoleon has his Waterloo. It's a very popular idiomatic expression. Now, Waterloo was where Napoleon Bonaparte was defeated. Now, prior to that, Napoleon was most feared general in Europe. In fact, he had conquered many countries. He had conquered many of the European countries. And his soldiers were willing to lay down their lives for him. It is said that one time, one of Napoleon's soldiers was shot in the chest, and the nurse was attending to him. And the soldier told the nurse that don't go too deep because you find Napoleon there. That's how deep his soldiers revered him. And what did he do? It is said that Napoleon knew every one of his soldiers by their names. And he knew personal things about them. He connected to them. He cared about them. And so because of that, they replicated that. As leaders, we need to be able to show this value to other people. We need to connect to them. We need to care about them. Before you start asking for their commitment, hand them your heart, hand them your ear, and they will in turn reciprocate it with loyalty. Don't go calling for loyalty when you don't have it. First, give, and it will be given to you. I'm ending with this. The only thing that would keep a leader from misusing, abusing, and manipulating other people is when he values them. And when a leader values his followers, and when a leader values his team, every day he needs to think about ways to add value to them. I just thinking about how you can use them or how the people can be useful to you. This afternoon, I was having a chat with a few friends, and he was sharing that one time he was served a query at work. And the reason he was served a query at work, he was admitted at the hospital. Imagine being admitted at the hospital and then sending a photo of you being admitted, and then returning a hospital report or a doctor's report back to your manager. And all your manager does is to send you a query. He doesn't think about you. And all he's looking for it from you is how you can help him make more money or what value you be to the company. But as a leader, you think beyond that. You think of ways to add value to your staff. So when I sit as CEO of my company, I think about my staff. How do we help them go from where they are to another level? I was telling one of my staff, she came from a school where she had diploma. She didn't have degree. And she was telling me that she's not as smart as my other staff who have master's degree and degree because she doesn't have a degree. And I told her that I do not see people based on the certificate they have. I see them based on the capacity they have. And if they are only willing to be able to learn what other people have, they can become like other people. If you are willing to learn what I know, if you are willing to practice what I do, if you are willing to do what I do, you can have the results I have. You can become just like me. If you do more than I do, you become more than I do, more than I am. It's not just about someone being smarter than other people. So I think of ways. This person doesn't have it all. How do I get this person to the next level? How does this person see himself or herself as leader over a team of multiple people in the next years? I don't see them as just normal people coming to work just to help me get what I need. No. How do they become people that they are proud of themselves in the future? Then I begin to look for ways, or you need to look for ways to add values to them. Can I pay for some courses for them? Can I assist them in this area? Can I help them? So one of the things we do is every hour in our company, every day, we have 2 hours in a week on Thursdays dedicated towards capacity building. And we have every one of them handling a project. And everyone comes to present on their project. They pitch on their project. We get them thinking on their ideas. Then we sit, we help them refine them so that in the future they can stand before people and also be delivering addresses. They can be public speakers like me. The next time probably will have to be one of my staff speaking. And they need to be able to learn it. Some of them never had the opportunities in school or where they found themselves. And it's my responsibility to give them these opportunities, to build these skills amongst them. I gave one of my staff an opportunity to pitch at an event. I had to take her through a lot of drill. Go there, say this, you need to perceive the people in this way. And eventually she won. But before she won, she told me that, Charlie, thank you for bringing me. And I want to be coming for more events like this. I want to be given opportunities like this. Now, I remember the first time I gave them the opportunity, I told them to be doing things like this. They're like, which company is this? We came to just do our work and go. But I saw beyond them just where they are. I wanted to add more to them. So you need to do things that add value to others. You need to now start doing things that intentionally doing things that add value to other people. And the next one is correlated, avoid things that do not add value to others. So whenever you are doing things for them, just think about it. Does this add value to them? When they leave this company to another company, would they be proud that this company actually helped them by building this in them? Don't just look at it that, oh, one day they'll leave me. So why should I even give them all these resources? No, build them up. And remember, once you influence people, they'll always revere you as their leader and encourage them to also add value to others, just as you added value to them. I'll end here. and I'll say that value other people, value your followers, and always
Wow.
seek to help them improve. Thank you.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much. I think I need to clap. I know this was really comprehensive, and I'm so happy that we had this session. I was really saying, okay, wow, this session really old, and like, wow, I'm really grateful. And I'm so happy that I had you to speak on this subject and the topic you spoke on. I'm really grateful. Thank you so, so much. And I'm really glad that we have people who are going to go back to these sessions and watch it again. And the fact that it, it was on a presentation so as well too. So I want to ask just one question, and because a lot of the questions I wanted to ask, you've answered them in between the sessions already. So we just ask one question because the time is fast spent. So we have just one question, and the question is this: in your experience so far as a leader, and the fact that you're a young leader in Africa and in West Africa, coming from Ghana, what advice would you want to give to young people? In few words, what would you want young people to know that you probably felt like you should have known better, or if you had known that you would have done better? What would you want young people to know?
Well, there's a quote that I would want to share. It says that the best time for you to have started what you want to start is yesterday. The next best time is now. Is now. And start now. And like I said, the only way you'll be valuable tomorrow, or the only way you'll be better tomorrow, is when you start doing today. So it's not too late. You've missed out on some time, but start developing yourself now. Remember, if you give yourself 1 hour a day on a particular subject, leadership is practical. Some of these things I started learning as way back as 6, 7 years before I started leading people, and I was able to apply them. I remember some of these lessons. I started reading books on leadership, Mouse Moore's books, John C. Maxwell's book, 21 Laws of Leadership. Started researching on leadership, and started seeing how some CEOs were building their businesses. I was like, no, I really want to be like this. I really want to. Then, but the next best time is to start today. Add value to yourself today. Grow today. Be consistent with growth. Put yourself in an environment where you can learn. And one of the things young people in our age or wherever you find ourselves is they are always looking out for the reward, not the value. Remember, rewards or money will always follow value. And so, first, pursue value. Pursue to become a person of value, and money will follow you. Rewards will come. The rewards will come. First, start out as being a person who is valuable. Start building valuable and value. And sometimes value means that you need to start interning somewhere. You need to do an attachment somewhere. Be an intern somewhere. And many of us are unwilling to do that. We want someone to pay us, and we are always looking out for money, someone to give you money. There are some people I intentionally bought food for. I bought things for just to be able to have a connection to them, to be able to learn from them. And of my years, all through my days, in an internship somewhere. And some of the things I learned as a leader now, I picked it up from all these various places. And so I was willing to forego money to be able to learn some of these things. But then, unfortunately, we are unwilling to delay gratification. We just want the reward. Pursue value, pursue to grow today. And sooner or later, your value would attract the right rewards. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Jesse. I'm really, really grateful. Honestly grateful. And we're open to have a conference. We're open to having a conference next year. And we're hoping that we're going to have a physical conference, which we would also have you, or probably we'll do it in Ghana, and then we'll have you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so, so much.
I'll be
Thank
on
you
it.
so much.
I'll be on it. I'll be on it.
So we're going to end here, just end the live stream here, and then, yeah. Thank you so much, everyone,
All
for
right.
joining us. Thank you once again.
You're welcome. You're welcome.